Hello everyone, a very logical day to all of you. So let's see what we have today in this first editorial of July 25th, 2023, the Indian Express. Smoke signals. Let us see कहाँ की smoke है और क्या signal करता है ये. So the first quarter, April-June of the ongoing fiscal year, wait 1 minute. These results provide some clues of the prevailing economic scenario. Three broad trends emerge. One, FMCG major HUL witnessed an uptick in volume growth in rural areas, perhaps indicative of a pickup in rural demand. Two, IT major Infosys has lowered its revenue guidance for the ongoing financial year to 1 to 3.5% from 4 to 7% earlier, pointing towards considerable uncertainty in major global markets. Okay, considerable uncertainty in major global markets. Three, banks seem to be posting healthy numbers as credit growth remains strong. These are, however, only preliminary trends. ठीक है, only preliminary trends मतलब शुरू में ये बस हो रहा है 1, 2 and 3. ठीक है, now a more comprehensive picture will emerge once a larger number of firms in the listed space unveil their results. ठीक है, तो एक broader view आ जाएगा जब बाकी के results आ जाएंगे, पर ये तो सिर्फ शुरुआत है अभी. This is what is seen. So sluggish rural demand has been a cause of concern, another point given. However, after witnessing double-digit declines in the past, with inflation moderating, HUL is seeing an uptick. Uptick means something that is, the graph is rising. Alongside, data from FADA also shows that sales of two-wheelers picking up in May and June after contracting in April. तो धीरे धीरे वो पिकअप है, uptick है, increase हो रहा है, better हो रहा है, growth हो रहा है. All these words are the positive usages. So here we have the important points in this paragraph. Three broad trends emerge, pointing towards considerable uncertainty in major global markets, but these banks seem to be posting healthy numbers, and a sluggish rural demand has been a cause of concern. Now these trends sit uncomfortably with other data points. Sitting uncomfortably with other data points का मतलब होता है कि बाकी जो डेटा या स्टैटिस्टिक्स मिलता है उसके साथ ये ट्रेंड्स फिट नहीं हो रहे. फॉर इंस्टेंस, अब ऑथर ने अपना पॉइंट दे दिया एंड देन ही इज कमिंग अप विद द एग्जांपल. द नंबर ऑफ हाउसहोल्ड्स अवेलिंग वर्क अंडर मनरेगा in the first quarter of the year was higher than in the same period last year. Right, first quarter of the year क्या होगा? अप्रैल मई जून. अप्रैल मई जून में जितने लोगों ने मनरेगा में काम लिया, that number was higher than the people who had the job through Manrega in the previous year, the same time period, April, May, June. That is first quarter. Now, what you can infer from this, if there are more people working there, उसके कई सारे conclusions और inferences हो सकते हैं, पर author ने जो इसमें लिया वो देखो. First quarter of the year was higher than in the same period last year, indicating the absence of other more productive forms of employment. ठीक है, देखो यहीं पे प्रॉब्लम होती है कि this is what the author has inferred from more number of people taking work from Manrega, right? Author infers that there are other sources of the job, there are not many other sources for the job. और कहीं जॉब नहीं मिल रही है, so they are coming to Manrega. पिछले साल ज्यादा लोग नहीं थे, इसका मतलब बाकी जॉब्स थी. ये इन्फ्रेंस है. इन्फ्रेंसेस राइट रॉन्ग कुछ भी हो सकते हैं, पर ये तो ऑथर ने कहा. नाउ सपोज देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन इन द, सपोज दिस वाज इन अ पैसेज इन अ मॉक टेस्ट एंड देन देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन. सो द सेम थिंग अप्लाइज नाउ. इफ दिस इज व्हाट इज इन्फर्ड बाय द ऑथर, देन ऑफ कोर्स वी कैन इन्फर द सेम. आर यू गेटिंग द पॉइंट? सो हायर देन इन द सेम पीरियड लास्ट ईयर, indicating the absence of other more productive forms of employment. Further, a recent RBI report had also pointed towards a moderation in the real wages in rural areas. However, HUL's results also signal a resurgence among smaller players in some categories. In product categories such as tea and detergent bars, small players are seeing much faster growth than larger players. This is a healthy sign considering the concerns over smaller players being squeezed out. इसका मतलब considering the concerns over smaller players being squeezed out and bigger firms cornering a larger share of the market. That means if the bigger players are there, that the smaller players will be kicked out. धीरे धीरे वो squeezed out मतलब धीरे धीरे करके मार्केट से निकल जाएंगे, इतना होगा. दिस इज अ हेल्दी साइन. अब जो उसने एग्जांपल दिया था डिटर्जेंट बार्स और टी का, तो स्मॉलर प्लेयर्स आर कमिंग इनटू द मार्केट नाउ एंड दे आर मेंटेनिंग देमसेल्व्स देयर इन द मार्केट. So this is a better sign, a good sign you can say, which earlier it was like it was with the mindset that the bigger firms corner a larger share. So smaller players के लिए जगह है, that is the best thing. But alongside the commentary accompanying IT firms points towards slowing demand for services in developed markets. For instance, right? See, for instance means again coming up with an example, with an example. So the point is before it. Infosys expects some clients to stop or slow transformation programs and discretionary work. Stop or slow transformation programs and discretionary work. ये कौन बोल रहा है? Infosys. तो सोचो उसका पॉइंट क्या था कि आईटी फर्म्स में जो हो रहा है कमेंट्री, there is a slowing demand for services in the developed markets. पॉइंट हो गया ऑथर की, देयर इज अ स्लोइंग डिमांड फॉर द सर्विसेज इन द डेवलप्ड मार्केट्स. और फिर एग्जांपल दिया कि देखो इन्फोसिस ने क्या बोला अपने लोगों को कि स्लो डाउन कर दो या तो स्टॉप कर दो अपना काम, कुछ क्लाइंट्स को. ठीक है. सो परहैप्स रिफ्लेक्टिंग द स्लो डाउन, द कंट्री सर्विसेज एक्सपोर्ट्स हैव ऑलरेडी बिगन टू सी अ मॉडरेशन. हियर कम्स द मेन पॉइंट नाउ. They are sitting uncomfortably with other data points. There is a slowing demand for services in the developed markets, and the country's services exports have already begun to see a moderation. और उसके बीच में जो था वो क्या था? Example. ठीक है, हमने अभी मतलब we have done this, no, prep and all, so you can understand the main points. Now the third panel, for firms the operating environment, both external and internal, remains shrouded with uncertainty. Shrouded is covered. Across developed markets, there is ambiguity over the extent of further monetary policy tightening. Ambiguity मतलब हो भी सकती, नहीं भी हो सकती, तो डाउट है मॉनेटरी टाइटनिंग करेंगे या नहीं करेंगे आरबीआई, and the implications for growth. Now there are expectations that the US Federal Reserve will raise rates when it meets next. Its next meeting is scheduled for July 25-26. However, with growth being healthy, expectations of a soft landing are gaining traction. Growth अच्छी है तो soft landing हो भी सकता है. On the domestic front, while the RBI expects the economy to grow at 8% in the first quarter, growth is expected to taper off thereafter to 5.7% in the fourth quarter. तो फर्स्ट क्वार्टर में अगर ग्रोथ 8% है तो धीरे धीरे वो कम होगा, because it is not a consistent growth throughout the year. राइट. सीजनल चेंज हो या कुछ भी हो तो धीरे धीरे क्वार्टर्स में चेंज आएगा. सो इन्फ्लेशन इज एक्सपेक्टेड टू रिमेन विद इन द सेंट्रल बैंक्स टारगेट रेंज. ठीक है. वी हैव रेड दिस इन आवर प्रीवियस मंथ्स एडिटोरियल्स आल्सो, वेयर देयर वाज अ पॉज इन द टाइटनिंग एंड ऑल. वो एक बार पढ़ा भी था हमने ना, एक बार नहीं बहुत बार आर्टिकल्स आए हैं इस पे. सो इन्फ्लेशन इज एक्सपेक्टेड टू रिमेन विद इन द सेंट्रल बैंक्स टारगेट रेंज. Though the risk from weather-related events will require close monitoring, during this period of uncertainty, policy should be guided by the objective of maintaining macroeconomic stability. Right? So, let us see the main point here. Here it is. Now, it is shrouded with uncertainty. एक बात है. There is ambiguity over the extent of further monetary policy tightening and the implications for growth. That is the second point. And growth being healthy, expectations of a soft landing are gaining traction. This is what the author hopes, wishes, speculates ऐसा होगा. However करके वो बोल देता है. डोमेस्टिक फ्रंट पे आरबीआई क्या कर रहे हैं वो देखते हैं. एंड लास्ट, ड्यूरिंग दिस पीरियड ऑफ अनसर्टेनिटी, पॉलिसी शुड बी गाइडेड बाय द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ मेंटेनिंग मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक स्टेबिलिटी. ये शुड बी गाइडेड मतलब ये होना चाहिए. ठीक है. So bringing in all the points together. So corporate results suggest pickup in rural demand. That was the first point. Uncertain external environment. Policy must focus on stability. So uncertain environment is second point, and policy must focus on stability becomes the third point given in the last paragraph. Not many things to, what do you say, not many things to, words to focus on. So that's all for today. Thank you and have a very logical day ahead.